It's the sound, isn't it? That little click or pop in your knee when you stand up from a chair. Or maybe it's that faint, papery, rustling sound in your shoulder when you reach for something on the top shelf. It's not even pain, not really. Not at first. It's a notification, a small, quiet reminder from your own body that spontaneity is no longer a given. You start to perform a tiny, subconscious calculation before you move. You brace, just slightly. You hesitate. Will this be okay? Should I move more slowly? It's that hesitation. That's the real thief. It's the moment you have to think about an action you've taken for granted your entire life. It steals your fluidity. It makes you feel, just for a second, like a guest in your own home, uncertain of the floorboards. We're told this is just aging. We're handed this script, this story that says our bodies are like complicated machines, and the parts are simply wearing out. A rusty hinge, a worn-down tread. We nod, and we sigh, and we accept it, because what else is there to do? We start to believe our best days of movement, of effortless grace, of just being, are behind us. We start to see looking younger as something that only happens on the outside. Creams for the skin, dyes for the hair. But what if that's the wrong story? What if that whole narrative is a lie? What if the looking part is just a symptom of the feeling part? What if looking younger is really about moving younger? And what if that feeling, that stiffness, that papery rustle, isn't a sign of parts wearing out at all, but of a garden drying out? A rich, complex internal ecosystem that is simply thirsty. Think about that for a moment. Your body isn't breaking down, it's just thirsty. It changes everything, doesn't it? It changes the feeling from one of irreversible decay to one of profound potential, of restoration. Because you can't easily fix a broken, worn-out machine part, but you can absolutely water a garden. If you've ever felt this too, that little hesitation, that small disconnect from the body you used to know, this channel is for you. This space is for understanding that our bodies are not machines. They are living, changing, responsive biological systems. You can hit subscribe now so you don't miss the next story that helps you understand your body better. Anyway, let's go deeper into this idea. This story we've been told about wear and tear, it's compelling, but it's mechanically false for most of us. When you feel that stiffness, that ache, it's almost never the bones grinding on bones. That's a very, very late stage problem. For most of us, for years or even decades before that, the feeling comes from something much more subtle. Inside every single joint in your body, your knees, your hips, your shoulders, your knuckles, you have this incredible, miraculous substance. It's called synovial fluid. It's your body's own built-in, shock-absorbing super lubricant. It's what gives your joints that smooth, cushioned, effortless glide. When you're young, this fluid is thick and viscous and plentiful. It's like a perfectly oiled hydraulic system. It's what lets you run and jump and fall and get back up without a second thought. But here's the strange part. This fluid isn't static. It's alive. And it gets its nutrition, its plumpness, its replacement parts from the surrounding tissues. And as we get older, or through diet, or through lack of specific kinds of movement, the pathway for those nutrients can get congested. The fluid itself can begin to thin out. It can deplete. It loses its cushioning power. It loses its viscosity. And now that smooth, silent glide becomes more like a gentle friction, that papery rustle, that click. It's not the hinge breaking, it's the hydraulic fluid running low. It's the difference between a brand new sponge full of water and soap and an old, dry sponge left on the side of the sink. It's still a sponge. All the parts are there. But it's stiff. It's brittle. It's lost its give. But what happens? What always happens when you put that dry, stiff sponge back in water? It doesn't just get wet. it transforms, it plumps up, it becomes soft, flexible, and resilient again. It remembers its old shape. Your joints are the same. They are waiting for the right signal, the right nourishment to plump back up. This is where the concept of anti-aging gets so incredibly interesting. We're not fighting time. We're not trying to reverse the calendar. We're just resupplying the pantry. And for years, the science has been looking at how to do this. How do we nourish that fluid? How do we send the signal to plump it back up and restore that smooth, youthful cushion? It turns out it's a specific combination of nutrients that supports this process. It's about restoring that cushion. This is the whole idea behind a very specific formulation I learned about called joint genesis. It was designed based on this exact insight, not to mask the symptom, but to address the fluid, to feed the joint at its source, to support the body's own ability to re-lubricate and restore that smooth, youthful cushion. It's based on this understanding that your body wants to feel good. It's not trying to fail you. It's just sending you a signal, a request for the right ingredients. It's one of the most intelligent approaches I've seen because it respects the body's own design. You'll find the link in the first pinned comment.
So, let's go deeper. If our goal is to rehydrate this internal system, to water that garden, to plump up that sponge, where do we start? This brings us to the title of this journey today, the top 8 anti-aging foods. But now, we're not going to look at them as wrinkle fighters. We're not going to talk about them in that superficial way. We're going to look at them as fluid builders, as the core ingredients for a body that moves with grace and therefore looks younger because it feels younger. Let's start with the first one, avocados. Now, most people hear avocado and they think healthy fats and good for your skin, and they're not wrong. But that's the surface story. That's the cliché. Let's look at the texture of an avocado. It's creamy, it's rich, it's cushioning. The biology of a food often gives us a clue to its function. The fats in avocados are primarily monounsaturated, and they are powerful anti-inflammatories. But here's the deeper magic, the real story. Inflammation is the enemy of our joint fluid. Think of inflammation as a low-level, constant heat. What does heat do to fluid? It evaporates it. It makes it thin and less effective. So the very first step in refilling our reservoir is to stop the evaporation. The healthy fats in avocados are like putting a cover on the pot. They help the body manage that inflammatory response. But there's more. Avocados are also packed with vitamin E. We think of vitamin E as a skin vitamin, but in the joint, it acts as a powerful antioxidant. It protects the cells that produce the synovial fluid. You see, it's not just the fluid, but the factories that make the fluid. These fats and vitamins are like a protection detail for the entire mechanism. Eating an avocado isn't just eating fat. It's an act of preservation. It's sending a signal of calm to the entire system, allowing that precious fluid to stay where it belongs. It's telling the body, you are safe. You don't need to be on high alert. You can stop evaporating. And this is where it gets interesting. When you combine this with the second food, you create a powerful synergy. Fatty fish. I'm talking about salmon, mackerel, sardines, and anchovies. Again, the cliché is omega-3s and brain health. All true. But let's go back to our metaphor. If avocados are the cover on the pot, omega-3s are the quality of the fluid itself. These specific fats, EPA and DHA, are literally part of the cell membranes throughout your entire body. They are what make your cells flexible, supple. A cell rich in omega-3s is like a fresh, new water balloon. A cell deficient in them is like an old, brittle one. Now apply that to the entire lining of your joint capsule. Those omega-3s are what allow the joint lining to be a good container, to hold the fluid effectively. But even more directly, these fats are converted by your body into something called resolvins. The name says it all. They resolve inflammation. They are not just anti-inflammatories, they are pro-resolution. They're the cleanup crew that comes in after the inflammatory fire is out and helps to rebuild and restore order. So when you eat that piece of salmon, you're not just eating protein, you are ingesting the very molecules that your body will use to say all clear. You are providing the building blocks for a more resilient, more liquid state. It's the difference between a dry, cracked riverbed and one that flows. You might have noticed this too. After a period of eating these rich, healthy fats, your skin looks better, yes, but your movement just feels smoother. There's a little less friction in the morning. That's not an accident. That is the physical result of changing the quality of your body's internal ocean. Let's think about Sarah for a moment. Sarah loved her garden. It was her sanctuary. But for the last few years, the kneeling, the weeding, it had become a negotiation, a whole process. She'd kneel on a thick foam pad, and the getting up was a 10-second ordeal of bracing her hands on her thighs, pushing and letting out a quiet groan. She started this new routine, focusing on these fluid-building foods. She started her day with avocado. She made a point to have salmon or sardines twice a week. At first, nothing. You don't notice it. But about a month in, she was out planting her spring bulbs, and she knelt down on the grass and just knelt. She didn't think, she didn't calculate, she didn't brace. And when she was done, she put one hand on the ground and just stood up. It was the absence of the ritual that shocked her, the absence of the groan. She just moved. That's the feeling we're talking about. It's not a miracle, it's not magic, it's just nourishment. It's the return of spontaneity. Now let's talk about the third food. This one is the vehicle, olive oil, specifically extra virgin olive oil. We're told it's heart healthy, yes, but let's look at it through our new lens. Olive oil contains a unique compound called oleocanthal. This compound has been shown to work in a way remarkably similar to ibuprofen. It's a natural anti-inflammatory. So again, we are calming the system. We are stopping that evaporation. But the oil itself, the lubricity of it, is a signal. When you consume these healthy monounsaturated fats, you are supporting every single fluid membrane in your body. Think of it this way. Your body needs to transport nutrients into the joint capsule and transport waste out. This happens across a cellular membrane. What is that membrane made of? Fat. If you eat dry, brittle, or processed fats, your membranes become dry and brittle. They become poor gatekeepers. They can't do their job. But when you consume high-quality, liquid at room temperature fats like olive oil, you are literally building better gates. You are making the entire transport system more efficient. You are enabling your body to finally get the good stuff in and the bad stuff out. This is so much more profound than just heart health. This is about the fundamental flow of life inside you. It's about creating an internal environment of ease. When you dress your salad with that deep green peppery olive oil, you are not just adding flavor, you are sending a message of fluidity to every cell. You are, in a very real sense, oiling the system. It's the daily maintenance that stops the idea of wear and tear from ever becoming a reality. It's the profound realization that you are not stuck with a bad joint. You are perhaps just running on the wrong fuel. You are a high-performance engine that has been given the wrong oil, and you are, at any moment, capable of changing it. This brings us to our fourth food, which might surprise you: leafy greens, spinach, kale, collards. The story we hear is vitamins and minerals and fiber. All correct, all boring. Let's look deeper. What is the challenge for a leaf? It has to stay hydrated, flexible, and resilient under a hot sun. It has to manage oxidative stress all day long. It is a masterpiece of hydraulic engineering. And when you eat it, you are consuming its strategy. Leafy greens are packed with magnesium. Magnesium is the relaxation mineral. It is the off switch. In our bodies, calcium causes muscles to contract. Magnesium causes them to release. Many of us are walking around in a state of chronic, low-level muscle contraction. We're tight, we're braced, and that constant low-level tension, it squeezes our joints. It compresses them. This pressure is a constant physical stress that prevents the joint from fully decompressing and allowing that synovial fluid to circulate. You can't water a garden if you're standing on the hose. That chronic tension is standing on the hose. Magnesium takes the foot off. It allows the muscle surrounding the joint to let go, to soften. This creates space. And in that space, the fluid can flow. In that space, the nourishment can enter. So that kale salad isn't just healthy. It is an invitation to relax at a cellular level. It's an act of creating space in your own body. Furthermore, these greens are loaded with vitamin K, which is crucial for directing calcium into your bones and keeping it out of your soft tissues. You don't want calcium crystals in your joint fluid. That's grit in the engine. Calcium is the traffic cop, making sure every molecule goes to the right place. This is an intelligence. When you eat these foods, you are not just eating chemicals. You are eating information. You are eating the accumulated wisdom of a plant that knows how to thrive.
But rituals have their own power. But then, one morning, about 2 months in, he was in his workshop. He reached for his hammer, and his hand just closed. A perfect, tight, strong grip. There was no thought. There was no stiffness. There was no negotiation. He just grabbed it. He stood there for a full minute, just opening and closing his hand, looking at it, as if it were a new tool. He hadn't just gotten his hand back, he had gotten himself back. The carpenter was still a carpenter. That is the feeling. That is what we are anti-aging for. Not to look younger, but to be who we are for longer. To not have our identity, our joy, our purpose stolen by a false story of wear and tear. If this message speaks to you, if you recognize that feeling of your body sending a signal, tap the like button and hit subscribe. It really helps this message reach others who need it. Let's go deeper. We have one food left, the 8th, and it's the one we all know and the one we all ignore. It's water. Just pure, simple water. We're told to drink 8 glasses a day. It's background noise. But now, after everything we've discussed, let's see water in a new light. Water is not just hydration. Water is the solvent. It is the medium. It is the ocean in which all of this happens. All those nutrients we talked about, the fats, the vitamins, the minerals, the peptides, how do they travel? How do they get from your stomach into your blood and across that membrane into the joint capsule? They are carried by water. If you are dehydrated, your blood is thicker. The transport system is sluggish. It's low tide. You can be eating all the right foods, but they are stuck in traffic. That beautiful, rich synovial fluid, what is its primary component? Water. It's a base of water, made thick and viscous by hyaluronan and other molecules. If you are dehydrated, your body, in its infinite wisdom, will pull water from non-essential systems to protect your essential ones. It will pull water from your skin. It will pull water from your digestive tract. And yes, it will pull water from your joints. It is a biological triage. That feeling of stiffness, that dryness, is often the first and loudest signal of simple chronic dehydration. Your body is borrowing that fluid just to keep your brain and heart working. And we mistake that signal for old age. We mistake it for arthritis. We mistake it for an irreversible breakdown, when all along it was just a cry for water. Think about that. The profound, heartbreaking simplicity of it. What if the first step to feeling younger, the most powerful anti-aging food on this entire list, is simply to answer that call, to refill the ocean, to give your body the medium it needs to perform all the magic we've been discussing? When you drink that glass of water, don't just chug it. Feel it. See it as the vehicle, the gift, the facilitator of your own renewal. You are not just hydrating. You are restoring the flow. You are raising the tide. You are giving all those other beautiful nutrients the river they need to get to their destination. This is the new story. This is the aha insight. We are not machines wearing out. We are gardens. And a garden does not wear out. It can be neglected. It can be starved. It can go dry. But it does not wear out. It holds within it always the potential for renewal. It is simply waiting. Waiting for the water. Waiting for the nutrients. Waiting for the signal. Waiting for the gardener to return. And that is you. You are the gardener. You are not a victim of this process. You are the curator of it. This changes everything. That little click in your knee, that papery rustle in your shoulder, that sound you heard when you stood up from the chair. Let's go back to that moment. It's not a warning anymore. It's not a sign of decay. It's not the sound of a rusty hinge. It is the sound of a dry leaf. It is the sound of a thirsty plant. It is a signal, a simple, clear, biological request. And now, you know how to answer. You know how to send the fats that calm the heat. You know how to send the colors that extinguish the fires. You know how to send the building blocks that reopen the factory. And you know how to send the water that carries it all home. You are in control. The power to feel better, to move with that forgotten spontaneity, to get up from that chair without that little calculation, it was never out there. It is in your kitchen. It is in your glass. It is in the choices you make from this moment forward. You are not aging. You are just thirsty. And the rain is entirely up to you. If you want to go deeper, there's another video I think you'll love. It's called Anti-Aging, Why It's So Simple, Yet Seniors Ignore It. It appears on your screen now.